These TikTok makeup story times started normal and then got completely out of control.
Am I wrong for getting with my friend's husband?
I don't see how you could not be wrong.
Story time. Listen, I know how bad it sounds. Just stick with me, okay? So there was this new guy who started out at work, and we'll call him Steve. Now, I'm a single girl and I like to live that single life. So one night I was so bored and I was like, I'm just going to scroll through some dating apps, see who's out there. And I come across Steve at work. And Steve is looking a little bit sexy. Basically started talking and we got together basically the next day. At this point, I'd been seeing a couple of different guys, so I didn't even think to mention it to Amy, who is my friend, by the way. On the date, Steve was dead flirty. He never mentioned a girl. He didn't even have a ring on. So my company decided that they were going to host a little party. And it was like a wives and husbands are invited type sitch. And when I got there, I was looking good. I'm like, first step, we go to the bar. I see Amy and I'm like, hey girl, how's the night going? She asks me if I've bought anyone. I ask her if she's bought anyone. And she is like, yeah, I came with my husband. I was like, oh, didn't even know you had a husband, babe. Like, where is he? Let me meet him. So she turns around and she beckons this guy over. I have never experienced shock like this very moment. It was only bloody Steve.
Girl, I would be shocked too.
And in that moment, I had no clue what to do. So I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And then ran. I literally didn't say anything else to them all night. I basically avoided them. And he definitely recognised me as well because he was avoiding eye contact. Let me tell you, this night ate me up. I came to the conclusion that I just had to tell her.
Of course, like any girl's girl would.
So this evening after work, I pulled Amy aside and I told her everything that had happened. Then she got really upset with me because how could I get with her husband? She said that I should have known. So I said to her, like, what are you going to do? Meaning, like, confronting Steve on the fact that he's been cheating on her. But no, she just says, well, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. She then started the name calling. She goes, you're a horrible person. You can rot in hell. And I'm thinking, are we not angry at the wrong person here? I do 100% feel awful. But at the same time, I literally had no idea. What do you think?
Comment below if you think she is the one in the wrong.
My ex tried to get me fired, so I got him fired instead. Story time. So I was just having a bit of fun with this guy called Steve.
Are they all called Steve?
And he wanted it to get a little bit more serious. I mean, why wouldn't he? Look at me, I'm a catch. I had just come out of a really serious relationship, so I was not in the mood to get into anything anytime soon. And in response, Steve called my work. He spoke to my manager and he tells my manager that I'm a total, like, lazy girl. I steal from the store. I go into work hungover literally every weekend. And my manager, who we'll call Alan, was just on the other end of the phone like, okay, babe. He quickly shut the call down, and then when I came into work later that day, he was absolutely howling about it. He was telling me that in response to what Steve was saying, he was like, she doesn't steal from us, and even if she did come in hungover, so do I, babe, so what are you trying to prove? So even though I wasn't in trouble, I was still absolutely raging at Steve. And Alan was like, listen, we're quiet, why don't you just call his work? Alan then puts the shop phone in my hand and goes, do it, ruin him. I considered my options. I did not want to be like a bitter person who was out to get revenge and ruin anyone's life.
What do you think? Should she be the bigger person?
But then just as I was about to put the phone down, my phone starts blowing up and it's Steve. He is hurling all of this abuse at me and I'm like, let's do it. So in the most Karen way, I dialed his work and I asked to speak to the manager. So when she came to the phone, I started to tell her how I'd been into the fast food restaurant the day before. And there was a young guy behind the till who had been hitting on me. I said, towards the end of our interaction, he had asked for my number. And when I declined giving it to him because I said I had a boyfriend, literally his whole demeanour changed towards me and he became quite volatile. And at this point, I was like, let's have some fun. I said that, yeah, I told him I didn't want to give him my number because I had a boyfriend and he called me a lying, sleazy little bitch. I said, and after that interaction, I will no longer be a customer of yours. And the manager was like, I'm so sorry about this. Can you give me any details so I can work out who the employee was? And I was like, right, best acting skills. I paused for dramatic effect and I said, I think his name might have been Steve. She then went on to say that I didn't need to worry about Steve talking to other women like that ever again. And I was like, bingo. And I said, that's great to hear because I can only imagine if he speaks to me like that, he's obviously probably spoken to other women like that before in your establishment. And after that, I put down my phone, I high-fived Alan, and I went on with my shift. So the next day, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about the whole thing. And then I get a load of texts from Steve. And he is now moaning about the fact that he got fired. Well, isn't that just a shame, Steve? So I've just found out my sister has been dating my son for a year now.
I can already tell this is gonna get out of hand.
Story time. So I guess the first thing I should know is I did get pregnant extremely young with my son. Everyone around me was super supportive and my mum and dad stuck around, let me stay at their house, like my siblings were okay with it. Considering I was 15 going on 16, I was really surprised. And my son is my only child. As much as he's my pride and joy, he's a pain in the ass. So my sister is also very young. Me and my mum were quite literally pregnant within years of each other. There is a 13-year age gap between me and my youngest sister. However, we have always managed to be super close, which I know isn't too common with that much of an age gap. That does also mean that my son and her are very close in age. Can I just say? They're also auntie and nephew. Right, let's call my son Mark. So Mark is now 15 years old, which means he has started to get interested in girls. Yay! Really wanted this time to come around. Me and my son, I think because of the age I had him, we have had this like really special and close bond. He's never been afraid to tell me stuff, like without embarrassing him, like as he's growing up, he's been able to ask me about questions. So I have always thought and just kind of loved how close we were. He came to me about 2 weeks ago, told me that he has actually secretly been dating this girl for about 6 months now.
A whole 6 months. It is already gone too far.
I was a bit shocked purely because this is the first I've ever heard of it. As I said, we were super close, so I just thought, my ego was hurt a bit more than I would like to admit. I also rang his dad up and I was like, has he told you about this mystery girl? And we were talking for a bit on the phone and he also didn't know, except that this woman wasn't too much older but was older. Oh god, that make it illegal? It does, but not in the way I was thinking. So we were kind of deciding the best way to go around this. I have no idea how his dad knew he was dating someone older. However, I'm glad he knew. I called my sister up, obviously, because we are super close. Kind of saying to her like, oh my god, Mark's got his first girlfriend. I'm so excited to meet her. However, I'm quite nervous. Like, I really don't want to have the talk with him. She was laughing and this was a different laugh. Okay, she was like nervous laughing and I know my sister's nervous laugh. So what are you so nervous about? I thought she just felt awkward for me. Oh, nothing. She was like, the timing's quite funny because I've also started dating a guy. So invested. I was like, tell me everything. More invested in my sister's relationship than my son's. A bit of time passes and I was serving dinner to Mark and I weren't snooping around. However, he did leave his phone unlocked. I saw a message from a girl and this girl had the same name as my sister. And I was like, I didn't know my sister had Mark on Snapchat. So I clicked on the message, literally thinking it was my sister. I don't even know what to tell you what this Snapchat was. With this image, I clearly knew it was my sister. Clearly knew it was getting sent to Mark. So many questions, as you could probably imagine. I called my sister up straight away and I was like, oh my god, code red, you need to go over to my house. She came over in a second. Obviously, I sat them both down and I was like, this is 1, disgusting, 2, illegal, and 3, cannot continue. Excuse was that they're so close in age, it doesn't feel like they're auntie and nephew, and I was like, that just doesn't matter. This is disgusting.
Comment down below what you would have done.
There it is. Holy moly. Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for! Dear God, it's beautiful.
My husband has a girl best friend and I hate it. Story time. My husband Steve has a best friend who we'll call Amy.
I already don't like the sound of this.
And they have known each other their whole life. They're like childhood best friends. In the past, I've overheard Steve say that he owes Amy his life. He's told me before that they got together when they were in high school, but nothing else has ever happened. Now, I have never really been Amy's biggest fan, but I'd say a turning point for me was when Steve decided to have Amy as his best woman at our wedding. I feel like Amy's definitely the definition of a pick-me girl. I never ever thought I'd be this girl, but I've asked Steve to cut Amy out of his life multiple times. But he said that he didn't think this was a necessary move. Everything did get a little bit better last year when Amy got married, and this relationship moved pretty quick. They were married and pregnant within 4 months of dating. Now, unfortunately, the guy did up and leave Amy when she was pregnant, and this made her mental health spiral, as you can imagine. And it was also when Amy and Steve's relationship started to get a little bit closer. Steve, my husband, started to take Amy to her midwife appointments. Next thing you know, he's building the nursery, and he even promised that he would be there at the birth of the baby. So as you can imagine, I've now got some pretty strong feelings towards Amy. So I expressed all of this to Steve and he said as a sorry he was going to book me a really fun birthday day. He called it like my celebrity day. We had a really nice hotel booked, an expensive meal. But it just so happened that Amy went into labour 6 weeks early. At this point, I'd had enough. And I was like, babe, this is my day, okay? Please do not let this other woman ruin it for me. And that was when Steve told me to grow up and stop being so childish. He said that we can celebrate another day, or I could ask one of my friends to come with me. I told him to not bother coming home unless he had a paternity test for that child. And just a couple of add-ons about Amy. Amy's husband actually left her because she cheated on him. And if you're thinking, why hasn't this girl got any friends to go to the birth with her and why is she picking someone else's husband? It's because she gets with all of her friends' boyfriends. Literally all my family and all of his family think that this baby is his. And actually, next week I'm going on my birthday celebration with Steve's mum. And your mum actually said that she wishes that I had been her child and not you. Have fun with your new family, babe.
Is he acting like the dad, or is he just being nice? Let me know what you think.
This might just be the pettiest thing I have ever done. Story time. So my little brother has a girlfriend who we'll call Amy. And this girl might just be one of the most self-centered and obnoxious people I have ever met. So not too long ago, they came to stay at mine for the weekend. And when they left, Amy left so much of her stuff at my house. Probably because she didn't know where anything was, because she left her shit everywhere. Anyway. She left this North Face jacket and then like all of her toiletries. So about a week later, her and my brother ended up moving into their first apartment together. Which is all fun and games, right? Wrong. After he paid for the moving truck, the utilities, half of the rent for the month, the girlfriend cheats on my brother with her ex.
As if you needed more reasons to not like her.
She then proceeds to kick my brother out of the apartment. So not only now was he broke from paying for everything, but he was also heartbroken and homeless. So at some point, she must have realised that she'd left half of her stuff at my house. Because she started calling, texting, blowing up my brother's emails to see if I could send back half of her stuff. Now, I wasn't going to send them back because of how much she had disrespected my flat when she was here. But my brother was like, please, can you just do it? So she gets off my back and leaves me alone. So being the loving and supporting sister I am, I bundled up all of her stuff and put it in a bag together. I was giving that North Face jacket no care or attention at all. I then just wrote a really nice note and I put it in just saying, sorry that it took so long to send you your bits, hope they get there safe and hope she has a really nice future with her new boyfriend. And the note was written in permanent marker. And the paper just so happened to be resting on her North Face jacket. And because it was written in permanent marker bled through to the North Face. Oh no! And in another turn of unfortunate events, the shampoo cap just happened to be not screwed on properly. And it's just such a mystery of how that could have happened. And then apparently there was a razor in there, which I obviously had no clue was in there. I just picked all of her stuff off my bathroom floor and put it in the bag. That didn't have a cover on it, so in transport, the blades had made little micro tears in her jacket.
Would you do this if you were his sister?
So she emailed all of this to my brother. And after that, we never heard from her again.
If you thought this was crazy, the next video is going to be even worse. Comment your favorite story, like, and share if you made it this far, and subscribe so you don't miss it.